All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something you use every single day but probably never think about: the invisible systems that manage who you are online, how you get in, and what you're allowed to do. It's basically the digital gatekeeper that runs your entire life.
So let's just jump right in with a question that, let's be honest, we all deal with. Just think about the sheer number of passwords and pins you have to juggle. It's chaos, right? And then there's that constant nagging worry in the back of your mind. What if I get hacked? This right here is the exact problem we're going to tackle.
And that right there, that whole mess of digital keys, that leads us straight to the core challenge that pretty much every single organization, from a tiny startup to a global corporation, has to solve: how to manage all this digital security without driving everyone crazy.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. This is the whole game. It's this fundamental balancing act, like walking a tightrope. You have to make it super easy for the right people to get their work done, while making it practically impossible for the bad guys to get in. This whole balancing act is the entire point of identity and access management, or what you'll hear called IAM.
Okay, so that definition on the screen, I know it sounds a little academic, right? A framework of policies and technologies. But really, this stuff is happening all around us, all the time. So to make this super clear, let's follow a fictional user, we'll call her Alex, through her workday and actually see this invisible framework in action.
All right, so picture this. Alex gets to work, sits down, and logs into her computer. Super simple, right? An action she does every single day without a second thought. But what's happening behind the scenes? Well, that simple click kicks off this incredibly powerful security process that the pros call the AAA framework.
Yeah, this framework, the three A's, it's really the bedrock of secure access. It's a simple three-step dance. Who are you, what are you allowed to do, and what did you end up doing? So let's break this crucial triple check down one A at a time.
First up is A number 1, authentication. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Before the system even thinks about letting Alex in, it has to be absolutely sure that she is who she says she is. This is the front door check, you know? The bouncer asking, "Can I see your ID?"
But, how does the system really know it's Alex? I mean, a password is just something you know, and passwords get stolen all the time. So modern security is way smarter. It works by combining these different factors. So when Alex types her password and then gets a little code on her phone, something she has, that's multi-factor authentication, or MFA. And that right there makes things exponentially more secure.
All right, so the system is happy. It's confirmed it's Alex, she's in. But that doesn't mean she gets the keys to the entire kingdom. And that's where the second A, authorization, steps in. This is all about setting boundaries. So yeah, Alex can get to her project files and her team chat, but if she tries to poke around in the company's confidential financial records, access denied.
And finally, we have our third A, accounting. This one is the silent observer. Every single thing Alex does, every file she clicks on, every report she runs, every setting she changes, it's all logged. It creates this invisible but permanent audit trail. So if anything ever looks fishy, the security team can basically hit rewind and see exactly what happened, when it happened, and who did it.
Okay, so Alex is authenticated and authorized. Let's follow her a little further into her day, because things are about to get even more convenient. For her job, she's not just using one system, she needs 3 different cloud apps: one for project management, one for design, and one for team communication.
Can you imagine the pain of having to log into each of those apps separately with different passwords? It'd be a nightmare. Well, thanks to something called Single Sign-On, or SSO, she doesn't have to. She logs in once, just once, and that login becomes a kind of master key that seamlessly unlocks all the other apps she needs. It's an absolute game changer for productivity.
Okay, SSO is cool. But what about a trickier scenario? What happens when Alex needs to get into a tool that belongs to a partner company? Her company's master keys shouldn't work there, right? And it doesn't. This is where a concept called federation comes into play. Think of it like building a secure bridge of trust between 2 different companies, allowing them to share her identity without sharing her secrets. A common way to do this uses a standard called SAML.
And this flow on the screen, this is that digital handshake in action. And it happens in like the blink of an eye. Alex's company, which is the identity provider, basically tells the partner's website, the service provider, hey, we know Alex, we've already checked her ID, she's good to go. Her company is vouching for her, and the coolest part, her actual password is never ever shared. It's incredibly clever and secure.
So we've been focused on Alex's experience, which is great, but now let's zoom out a bit. How on earth does a big company's IT department manage all of these rules? Not for one person, but for thousands or even tens of thousands of employees.
Well, the key is making these decisions automatically. The most common way to do this is called Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC. It's pretty straightforward. Alex is a project manager, so she gets access to all the project manager stuff. Simple. But what if she's trying to log in at 3 a.m. from a cafe in another country? That's where a much smarter model comes in, Attribute-Based Access Control, or ABAC. It doesn't just look at her job title, it looks at the entire context, the attributes of the request. Who is she, what is she trying to access, where is she, and when is it happening? It can make a real-time decision to say, nope, this looks weird, and block it.
And you gotta know, none of this is a set it and forget it kind of deal. People change jobs, they leave the company, their projects evolve. So you need a process to constantly check and recheck that everyone has the right level of access and nothing more. That whole process is called access governance. You can think of it like a manager getting a notification every 3 months saying, hey, does your team still need access to all this stuff? It's a way to stop permissions from slowly piling up over time, which can be a huge security risk.
And while all of this is going on, behind the curtain, the system is always watching. It's constantly scanning for red flags. Things like, a ton of failed login attempts on one account, or someone logging in from New York and then 5 minutes later from Tokyo, or maybe an employee suddenly trying to give themselves admin powers. This constant monitoring is how you spot a potential attack before it becomes a disaster.
So let's bring it all home. We've thrown a lot of acronyms and concepts at you: IAM, AAA, SSO, SAML. What's the big picture? Why does any of this invisible, complex stuff actually matter to you in your day-to-day life?
When you boil it all down, these IAM frameworks are really the unsung heroes of our digital world. They're the incredibly complex machinery that's hiding behind every single simple login. They are the silent guardians that somehow manage to give us both seamless productivity and rock-solid security. So what we've talked about today, it's not just some boring IT policy, it's literally the language of digital trust.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative question to think about. For decades, our main secret has been a password, something we know, but we're moving fast toward a world where our key is something we are, our face, our fingerprint. So if your password can be stolen, what happens when your identity is your face? The challenge of protecting that, well, that's going to be more critical than ever.